back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I want to talk about cutting season because it's that time. Summer is literally like 2 months away, so getting down to it. I started it about 3 weeks ago. I'm doing it very gradually just because I'm not competing. I don't have any huge goals, but I just want to do it gradually, and I do have some like gut issues, so I'm just taking it, as I go. But I wanted to talk about just cutting season in general, some tips that I have for you guys, different ways that I'm getting my protein in, and just I will go through what I eat in a days as well. I wanted to post more of those too. I have posted them on TikTok, but I'm gonna do a more in-depth what I eat in a day on here. I'm not gonna do that today because I already had my first meal, so we're already thrown off a little bit, but I will be doing those a little bit more because I know that's what you guys wanna see, and I already did my spiel about how I feel about them, but I know that you guys want to see that, and especially for cutting season, I feel like it's helpful. So let's get into it. First and foremost, if you don't know what a cut is, or cutting season, which the season is around this time, so spring going into summer, getting ready for summer basically. But a cut is just a caloric deficit, so you're eating less calories than what you burn in a day, basically trying to cut that fat off. So just called cutting for that reason, but that is the gist of it, and I'm just doing it for my personal goals for the summer. I don't have anything specific in mind. I just want to get a little bit more definition, feel a little bit better, because obviously I have a little body dysmorphia. I think a lot of us do, especially if you are in the weightlifting groove. You probably know that. You might have experienced that yourself. It is difficult. So I just want to feel a little better going into this summer than I have in the past. You can hear my cats kicking around their little bell toy. But that's just where I'm at with it. That's why I'm doing it. So it's nothing crazy. And I know it's not going to be like my end results this cutting season that I want. Just because to get that, it is going to take a little bit of time, and I've never gone fully into a cut like I'm doing this time. So it's not going to be my end result. I'll probably have to do, my bulk in the winter, and then my next cut hopefully will be a little bit better. But I can get a little bit of a head start by doing a really in-depth one right now. But that's something to keep in mind is, you're not just going right into a cut and expecting a lot of results. It is going to take time to do it, multiple times before you get your end results. It's best to go through, especially if your goal is muscle gain, getting a little more definition. I hate saying toned, but, getting that muscle definition, and it does come down to nutrition, remember. So I think it's important to go through a bulk first, and then go into your first cut, and so on and so forth, then go into a little bit of a maintenance or reverse diet, and then go through a bulk again, and then a cut. So it takes time, obviously, especially depending on where you are when you start your fitness journey. It's gonna take time to get to where you want. You're not just gonna instantly see your end results right when you go into your first, cut. But that's why I don't recommend just going into a cut when you haven't built up muscle with a bulk. So clarifying that, I feel like, is important. So let's talk about the main things with a cut. Now, I personally am not tracking anything. I've talked about this in a lot of my videos, but if you're new watching this, I'm not tracking anything. I have tracked before, and if you're cutting, it is very helpful to, track your food so you know what you're doing. And it's just helpful, to see where you're at with your food and what you still need in your day. But I'm personally not doing that, and because I have tracked before, I feel like I just kind of have a sense of portions and what I should be eating. I also went to school for nutrition, so I have a good grasp on it and what I need. But it is helpful when you're starting out, but tracking isn't for everyone, that's for sure. I know it was just very unhealthy for me too, the times I've done it in the past. But how I'm doing this not tracking is, compared to a bulk in my maintenance, obviously that is not a caloric deficit, that's a caloric surplus and maintenance. So when I'm in a deficit, eating less calories than I burn means if I'm burning more calories, I'm going to have a bit more wiggle room in that deficit. So this is obviously situational for everyone, but I work from home and I got a walking pad, it's one of those little mini treadmills, and I aim to get 15,000 steps in a work day. I usually have more because that's only, you know, from my 8:30 to 5:30 range. And then obviously I get more later, but that is my only cardio that I've been doing. I don't do any more at the gym, even though the stairs would probably be a good way to get my heart rate up. But I just haven't been doing that because I already do so much movement in my day. And it just feels good to move anyways. Like I'll probably continue to do this, just maybe not as intensely. And I know 15,000 seems like a lot. I think an average goal is 10,000, but it's only because I'm sitting all day anyways, so I like to just stay moving personally. So that's why that goal seems very high, but honestly, it's so attainable. I usually hit it by like 3 p.m. because I take little breaks throughout the day. You know, I'm not walking the entire day, so I take little breaks, but that is what I personally aim for. So just getting that extra movement in, so whether you go for a couple extra walks a day or do some extra time on the treadmill, on the stairs, I definitely recommend the stairs when you're at the gym. That's a great way to, you know, bump that deficit up a little bit. You don't need to overdo it. So many people overdo cardio. You really don't need to overdo it, but just adding it in more. Or maybe if you're someone who only does cardio like 3 or 4 days a week now, bump it up to like 5 or 6. Or if you're on your off day, make it a more active rest day, go for a walk and get moving a little bit more. So that's just a simple way that you know you're burning more calories so you can put yourself towards more of a deficit. So the other thing that I do is portion sizes. That's all. I'll still eat the same exact things that I was eating before. I just watch my portion sizes. Maybe I cut it down a little bit. I have a little bit less rice with my meal, or smaller portion of pasta, less sauce, something like that. Just smaller portions than what I was eating before. And honestly, those are normal portions because before I was definitely eating more than I needed to, but I was trying to build up that bulk, so that's totally different. So just portion sizing and then a little less snacking. Like I listen to my body more. There's definitely times, and I'm sure all of us do this, we snack for the sake of being bored or because it's there, and I just listen to my body more and I'm like, okay, I'm not actually hungry right now. I don't need to be eating this. So I listen to my body more, and then if I am getting a little hungry in like the afternoon or something, I'll either have a protein shake, or if it's close enough to when I'm going to be going to the gym after work, I'll have like 2 Rice Krispies or something. So I have that little pick-me-up before the gym, or I'll have like 2 dates with peanut butter and honey, something like that to keep me going, because we do want to listen to our bodies and eat when we are hungry, but just make sure it's hunger, not boredom. So I always make sure I do that. And another thing, before I was really only eating 2 meals a day. Like I would have lunch and then a huge dinner and maybe some snacking, and that definitely just wasn't what I should be doing. So I've changed that up, and it's especially easier now that I work from home and I can just make my own schedule with what I'm doing, which I was honestly worried about snacking working from home, but it has been great. So I'm making sure I eat breakfast now, so I'm getting my metabolism going in the morning. So now I wake up and I'm actually hungry, because that was the only reason before that I wasn't eating in the morning. I just don't wake up hungry. But now that I've started having breakfast, and it's usually something small, like I'm not a big breakfast person personally. I know people like love breakfast food, that's their favorite meal of the day. I'm not one of them. I don't really care for breakfast food. Like I get the egg ick sometimes, so that's just where I'm at with it. So I'll have like a small breakfast, which I'll talk about that in a second, but now I wake up and I'm hungry in the morning and I'm getting my metabolism going earlier in the day. So then by the time lunch comes around, you know, I'm getting hungry for lunch, I have my lunch, and then I'm satisfied for a little bit, except the certain exception of certain days where I'm like a little bit hungrier in the afternoon. So then I'll have something else. And then by the time dinner comes around, hungry enough, full enough, and I'm good. So that is definitely something to keep in mind, is keeping your metabolism going. I used to be like, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, bullshit. But like, it really is, because it gets my metabolism going. I've noticed a difference in energy too, for sure, but it gets your metabolism going in the beginning of the day, which is what we want. And that's the other thing I want to point out too, is keep in mind, like, if you're in too much of a deficit, your body isn't getting enough in general. You're going to slow your metabolism, and that's not what you want, because that's going to cause more weight gain when you start eating more. If you do decide, especially, that you want to go through a bulk, you are going to gain much more weight much quicker. So you do want to make sure you're eating enough. You can't be in too much of a deficit and think, oh, I'll just get results quicker. That's not what you should aim for. You should be eating in your day, and you should be getting enough, because you're going to slow your metabolism. So if you are someone who's like me and you did not eat breakfast, or you just didn't get hungry, which again, I totally get, but now that I've started having my breakfast in the morning, I get hungry in the morning, my metabolism is going, feel more on a normal schedule, you know what I mean? Okay, now let's talk about breakfast and just meals in general. I'm not gonna like rant off the meals that I usually have. I'm only gonna do it for breakfast because I eat just sort of the same things when I do have that. And this is just, if you are like me and you aren't a big breakfast person, or you don't get hungry in the morning and you just want to eat something simple, then this is what you can do. But I always have bone broth in the morning. That's a great way to get extra protein in too. Even though it's not a lot, it's still, everything counts when you're on a cut. When you're on a cut, protein, 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 especially if you want to continue to build muscle and sustain muscle, make sure you are getting your protein in. Most people do not think they are getting enough. Aim for 1.2 to 1.7 per pound of body weight in protein a day. I know it seems like a lot, but trust me, there's some easy ways to get it in. So bone broth, great for your gut and a great start to your day. So I have that every morning no matter what. And then usually I'll have either peanut butter and honey toast, or I'll have avocado toast, or I'll have one slice of one of those with some eggs. And then some mornings when I'm not as hungry, or honestly if I'm just lazy, I'll have a protein shake, and it'll just be, you know, water, scoop of vanilla protein with some frozen strawberries, and then I also add in my L-glutamine and fiber as well, so I'll have that. And then if I want to have a little extra, like this morning I had that protein shake, and I also had a slice of peanut butter and honey toast. So that's getting quite a bit of protein in my morning. The shakes are only on those mornings where I'm like in a bit more of a rush, or I'm feeling lazy, or I have a lot of stuff to do in the morning and I can't be like stopping to, you know, eat and chew. I can just drink it. So I'll do that in the morning, and then I'm sure I'm getting some protein in to start my day, which is really good, especially if you're on a cut, which you should be doing this anyways. Should always have a protein that you're getting in with your meals. So I'll always do that in the morning, and those are typically the meals that I stick to. And then sometimes I'll have a bagel with cream cheese and smoked salmon, which is delicious. So I honestly just alter between all those meals. That's what I'll have. And then sometimes I'll have a little cup of cottage cheese on the side too. I just ran out, so I haven't been doing that recently. And I forgot to get it in our last grocery trip. But I'll add that too, because again, protein. So that's very important. Not going to go through like lunch and dinner, because those, again, I mainly focus on getting in plenty of protein, and it varies every day what I eat, but breakfast, it's mainly the same rotations. So let's talk protein. Now, like I just said, bone broth in your day, that's a great way to get a little bit in, and it's great for you. I also mix bone broth in with my water that I make my rice in, just like your minute rice, and that gets some extra protein in there, and it tastes really good. If you're ever having like soup, maybe you're sick and obviously your appetite is really low anyways, you can mix some chicken bone broth into your chicken noodle soup. That's what I like to do. And then anything where I'm sort of like similar to rice pilaf, risotto, whatever it is, mix in some bone broth there to get that extra protein. I know it's so minimal. My bone broth has like 8 grams of protein, but that's 8 grams of protein, so that's very helpful for me. So bone broth is a great way to just mix into certain things, and it's also great for you to get that extra protein in. Next, non-fat Greek yogurt. Now, if you're like me, I'm not a huge fan of yogurt, but I've been using it in a lot of other ways recently that don't include just eating it as yogurt. What I do like to do sometimes is mix some protein in with my yogurt. So then it's, because this is obviously plain, non-fat. This is the Trader Joe's brand, but you can obviously get whatever brand non-fat Greek yogurt you want. This particular one has 17 grams of protein. So that's really good. Mixed in with your protein powder, you're getting over 30, almost probably 40, maybe over 40 grams of protein from that. And then you can mix in some fruit, make it a little smoothie bowl, put some chocolate chips on it. It's a little dessert. So that's a great way to utilize getting your protein in, and that could be your breakfast too, a late night snack, whatever you want. Then the other ways I've been using it, I actually have one in here that I made. So if you like putting spicy mayo on things, so you mix your mayo and sriracha, make a little spicy mayo mix, put it on your sandwiches, your meats, whatever it is that you're making with it. I have been replacing, I know this isn't mixed very well, I just put it in here, but I have been mixing yogurt with sriracha for a spicy mayo. Obviously it's a little thicker, but it tastes great. You can't really taste much of a difference aside from the consistency, and depending what you're putting it on, you don't taste a difference. So I've been doing that. Instead of mayo, I mix in my yogurt with my sriracha, and that's my sauce, and it's so good. I put it in bowls, and I make like a salmon bowl or a chicken bowl. I put it on my sandwiches. I put it on eggs, whatever I'm making. And that's extra protein, even though it's not a full serving. Like a full serving for this is 3/4 of a cup and 17 grams of protein, 110 calories. That's really good. So obviously I'm not getting a full serving from just adding it to something, but I'm getting some protein in, and it's a lot healthier than using mayo and less calories. So I do use it for that. And another way is I replace sour cream completely with Greek yogurt. So when I make burritos, when I make quesadillas, when I make little bowls, like burrito bowls, I am just using plain non-fat Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. And honestly, I thought it was going to be disgusting. I'm a big texture person too, and there's not a lot of taste on there too. And I was like, this is not gonna be good. But, need to keep my protein up, that type of thing. And you can't tell a difference. I personally cannot tell a difference. Maybe it depends on the brand that you get, but I don't know, with this one, I cannot tell a difference. It's just like sour cream, and it gives me that same satisfaction of sour cream, because I go heavy on the sour cream. So just that alone, replacing anytime I use sour cream with this, is so much more beneficial to me, because there's no fat and it's basically just all protein. Now, going along with portions when it comes to protein, when I am making my meals, so when I'm making those little chicken bowls, salmon bowls, whatever, I obviously, like I said, my portions are smaller compared to what they were before when I was going through a bulk or maintenance, but I also change up each portion. So I'm not having as much rice. I've cut down more on my rice, and I'm adding in more chicken, more salmon, whatever it is that I'm having. I add in more of that, so I have a bigger protein portion than carb portion. So I'm making sure I'm getting that in. So that's a big thing I do for all my meals, is just little things like that. And then, of course, the most obvious and important, not important, but most obvious, protein powders. Now, obviously, you should be getting all of your nutrients and whatever it is you need from real food, but especially cutting season and just any time in general, if you are someone who is trying to gain muscle mass, put on muscle mass, sustain muscle mass, protein is very important, and it can be hard to get a lot of protein in because protein is the most filling macronutrient. So you're gonna feel more full and it's gonna be harder. But especially on a cut, we're watching those calories too in our portions, because if you're not in a deficit, you're not in a deficit. You're not gonna be losing that weight. So protein powder is a great tool, and this is where it really comes in handy. So like I said, some mornings when I'm not really in the mood to have a big breakfast or make something, or I'm in a rush, whatever it is, and having that protein shake is a great way for me to make sure I'm getting that protein in. So in the morning, sometimes I'll have it, and then like I said, that yogurt trick is great. Having your yogurt, mix in a scoop of your protein powder, mix that up depending on what the flavor is. Like I have mint chocolate, I have cookies and cream coming. Mixing that in, adding some chocolate chips, that's a great dessert for a late night snack. And that's gonna fill you up a lot because like we said, protein is filling. Not to mention if you are mixing it with yogurt, that's a lot extra protein there too as well. But even just having a protein shake with water or something at the end of your night, if you are someone who gets those late night cravings, again, great way to get those cravings taken care of and get your protein in and help you feel a bit more satisfied going into the rest of the night. And then it keeps your metabolism going through the night too. So we love that. So protein is great in those aspects as well. It makes for a great dessert. It makes for a great breakfast. And then like I said, some days when I get a little hungrier in the afternoon or I just want a little snack, I'll just have a protein shake. And depending on the servings, maybe you have half a serving to just, you know, hold you over and then you're getting that extra protein in. And then another thing is sometimes I will make my protein shakes with milk. So again, for example, the mint chocolate protein, mixing that with milk tastes just like a mint chocolate shake. So it's really good. And then obviously that milk is adding in extra protein. Obviously it's more calories, but it just depends. Honestly, on the days when I am more off track, like maybe it's a weekend or whatever, then and I'm craving something sweet and I let myself have something sweet, I will make a protein shake. So I'll make an ice cream, you know, milkshake, a frap, whatever you want to call it. So I will make it with milk, ice cream, and I'll add in my protein. And yeah, I'm having ice cream. Yeah, it's a dessert, but hey, I'm still getting a lot of protein in from that. So I'll literally still do that and hope for the best. And then, so that's if you are craving something sweet and you are giving yourself that little sort of cheat snack. I hate to say cheat because it's not that deep, okay? But, you're still getting plenty of protein in and you're satisfying that really sweet craving, that thick milkshake that we all love. So I like to do that as a little reward. And honestly, this is bad. I'm not encouraging it, but I do it because who cares? When it comes to alcohol, so I'm not sure if this is still available because this is special for St. Patrick's Day, but I have this little Bailey's Guy mint shake, vanilla mint shake, and what I did was make my own shamrock shake. So I use vanilla protein powder, I use that Bailey's, I use vodka, I use milk. No, it sounds disgusting, but then mixed all together with vanilla ice cream, delicious. And hey, I was getting protein in, which obviously when we are drinking, our bodies are not burning as much fat. It's not metabolizing the same way with proteins, but I'm still getting some protein in and that does make me feel good. So I'm not telling you to do that, but if you're like me and you still enjoy your weekends, you're still gonna have some drinks on the weekends because we are human and why not? I like to do that because I'm making sure I'm getting my protein in, and the weekends for me can vary, so any way that I'm making sure I'm doing that is always beneficial. So utilize your protein powder. Make sure you're getting plenty of protein on your grocery list when you go shopping, whether it's chicken, whatever meats you go for. Salmon is great, getting packs of frozen salmon that you can just throw in the air fryer and for 10 minutes and make a little bowl with rice, you're good to go. Something like that is very simple. Get some yogurt, some plain non-fat Greek yogurt, and you can mix that like I just showed you, told you, and a lot of different things. So that's a really easy way to do it. But just be sure you're getting your protein in because it's so important if you're on a cut and you are trying to sustain that muscle mass. Obviously, you're not going to be as strong. Like I'm not out here hitting PRs right now like I was, a few months ago. I was really on a roll with it on bench, on squats, on deadlifts. But, it's slowed down significantly now because you're not as strong when you're not getting as much food. Food is fuel. So I'm not feeling as strong. Still keeping up with my strong working sets, but I'm not going for any PRs right now. If there was a day where I was feeling extra strong, maybe. But I just know that's not my goal right now is strength. It's definitely keeping, you know, my average strength that I have, but I'm not going for any PRs. I'm working on my deficit, getting my movement in, and just my goals for this cut. But it's going to vary person to person, and that's not to say you're not going to hit PRs or you're not going to feel as strong. Everyone's different, and it depends on your needs too, but that is where I'm at with it. So I hope these tips were a little helpful for you guys when it comes to protein. And like I said, I am going to try and post what I eat in a days on here, because I can go a little bit more in depth about how I make things and how I'm portioning things, which obviously your portion size is going to be a little different from mine, but just showing how I eyeball it and how I make certain things. But if you want to follow me on TikTok, which it is the same handle as my YouTube, my Instagram, MICHELLEM Fitness, then I have some posted on there, but I'll do more in depth on here about what I eat, so you guys can see a bit more. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for joining me. I will post my Gymshark link and code in the description as well, because if you cannot tell, we're out here rocking it. These are the Warp leggings. This is the Adapt Half Zip, and code MICHELLEM gets you 10% off now. So that's super exciting. So I'll put that link down below. But I will try and make a what I eat in a day for you guys next week and do a bit more in detail on that, since today is Friday and my weekends are a bit off, so I'm not going to do it for the weekend, but I will work on that for you guys next week. Thank you guys for watching. Any questions you can put down below, or you can message me on Instagram or TikTok.